Hello again, family and friends. So I'm going to read to you another short excerpt from my book, Volume 1, back in the day. And this was about my early years living in Newark, New Jersey. We are rough. We are tough. We are the boys that don't take no stuff. So take off your shoes and smell your feet. We are the boys from James Street. This was the Wildcat theme song of 1964, Me and the Boys. We were innocent little boys who made up my group of semi delinquent wannabes. We called ourselves the Wildcats. The idea came to me when the boys and I were visiting a sporting goods store in downtown Newark, New Jersey. And our purpose was to buy the new Chuck Taylor Converse sneaker, All Star sneaker. And Converses are still around today, by the way. Converse was the most popular sneaker around, and it came in high and low tops. And high tops had a large star on the outside area. And one of the boys came up with a slogan, and it went like this: "If your sneakers slip and slide, get the ones with the star on the side." And had I known what I know now about marketing, I think that Converse would be paying me some big bucks for a patent on such a slogan. But as they say, hindsight is 2020, and water is water under the bridge now. And don't cry over spilled milk. You know, all of those metaphors. I don't quite get the water under the bridge one, but who am I to challenge conventional wisdom? So while browsing around a sporting goods store, I noticed a box of iron-on patches about the size and shape of a frisbee. The patches displayed the head of a large black cat with thin white stripes highlighting the facial features and the outline of its head. And its eyes were large and wild looking. And I thought, wow, this would look great on the back of our jackets and identify members of our gang. We called it a gang, but to our parents, we were known as the less threatening Wildcat Club. So we each purchased one of the patches, and our mothers, somewhat reluctantly, ironed them on the back of our sky blue jackets. And when we wore those jackets, we were a cohesive group of regimented comrades looking to change the world. The fact that most of us were only 10, 11, and 12 years old was irrelevant. The jackets boosted our self esteem in such a way that nothing seemed to cause us distress. We were the boys from James Street, known as the fearsome Wildcats. Our weapons of choice were a whole bag full of arrow shaped can openers. They came from the glove box of an old jalopy someone had abandoned near our public housing project. We'd heard about other gangs, made up of dudes older than us, who carried weapons such as pop guns and knives, brass knuckles, straight razors, and billy clubs, but we were too scared to mess with those things. So we decided we would use the can openers and pretend they were switchblade knives. So off we went down the street, arms draped over each other's shoulders. We were wearing our jackets with collars turned up, wildcat patches in place, and weapons of mass destruction at our fingertips. And we went along chanting our theme song and daring anyone, our age or younger, to get in our way. So moving on, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Mayday trip experience. Yeah, here we go. So, every spring during the month of May, our school sponsored a trip to New Jersey's Watchung Mountain Range, the Orange Mountains. We called it the Mayday trip. The excitement leading up to this day was a major adrenaline rush. It was understood among the boys that one had to have a girlfriend who would be willing to go off into the woods with them. We would scope out a nice fat tree. Then we would lean our girls up against the tree and commence with the heaviest of kissing and petting. We called it bumping and grinding or mugging and dipping. It didn't matter whether or not we enjoyed the act. We had to go through the motions, no pun intended, in order to be respected by our peers. I was in the 6th grade when I first noticed how the 7th and 8th graders paired off for the May Day experience. It was sort of a rite of passage. The next year, when I was in the 7th grade, it was my turn to shine. I made sure to make a move on the prettiest girl in the class who had a reputation for being too fast. Her name was Yvette. I felt a little intimidated, not because of Yvette's fastness, but because there were older 8th grade boys who liked Yvette, yet she chose me. I was afraid that these dudes would either want to fight me for her or she would choose them over me if I didn't perform well. It was touch and go for a while, literally. I wondered if I had gotten in over my head. Just prior to the May Day trip, I had spied on my parents and saw them kissing in a manner that was peculiar to me. I'd seen them do it before, but never really took notice. It appeared that they were breathing in each other's mouth, as in CPR. I later found out that this was called French kissing. I was not really too experienced in this type of kissing, but I thought, hey, maybe if I do this with Yvette, she'll realize that I'm super cool and experienced. So I determined to kiss her this way, even though I thought it was weird and borderline nasty. We found a nice big tree to use in our attempt to commence with the mugging and dipping ritual. When we began to kiss, it was apparent that Yvette had French kissed before. In fact, she was quite good at it. In fact, I no longer thought it was weird. In fact, I caught on very quickly and quite enjoyed it. Then suddenly, I felt this smack on my butt. It wasn't Yvette smacking me, as one might think or hope for. It was JoJo. I think he was a little jealous, and this was his attempt to distract me and spoil my fun. Nevertheless, we continued with the CPR-like kissing, and I made sure JoJo got a good glimpse so he could tell the rest of the gang how Ralphie had it going on. My reputation for being a smooth operator lasted the whole rest of the school year and all through the summer of 1965. Truthfully, I cannot remember a single thing more about the May Day trip, but I'll never forget the mugging and dipping experience. Isn't it strange how in some cultures sexual activity is held in such high esteem among young people, many of whom aren't even sexually mature yet? I've often thought this behavior is possibly an attempt to meet the need of social acceptance and belonging as described by Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. At least that's why I think I behaved that way. This is my story, and I'm sticking to it.